Hello everyone. In this video we'll be looking at UI4's app Python module in Katana. This module is the gateway to Katana's interface, allowing you to customize UI and access the UI functionality. You may already have come across the UI4.app module if you have ever dragged and dropped a tab into the Python console. Let's do that now. Grab the node graph tab, so we're going to middle mouse click and drag this over. You can see it's UI4.app and then .tabs, find top tab of the node graph. Let's take that and store that in a variable of node graph tab equals. Okay. Now we have the node graph tab. It has some methods that we can use, aren't part of the node graph API because they're UI based. So for example, if we were to do what we did before where we created some nodes and connected them like so, what we can do is take this list of nodes that we've created in our nodes variable and then use our node graph tab dot float nodes and give it our node list of nodes. Run that. Now all of these nodes we created are floating. It can be really handy for any tools that you write. It allows the artist to place them wherever they want. And there's all sorts of other functions in here as well. So we also have the ability to frame selection, for example. So on that, now it's going to frame all of the nodes I've selected. We can also get the entered node root node. So currently we're at root, so if we run that, we're at the root level. If I were to go inside this group node, for example, run the same code, now telling us we're in the group node called group. We go inside that one, now in group one, and we run our code. It tells us that we're in a group node called group one. Okay. We can also go to a node. So this can be really handy if you want to find where a node is. So there's a primitive create node somewhere. Don't know where it is. I'll run this. Here I am at the primitive create node at the root level. So that can be great if you want to jump somewhere. We can also, from the node graph tab, we can get the menu bar and we can add menu items and actions to this. So we can go node graph dot get menu bar, say node graph menu bar equals, and then from here we could do something like this, where we can create a test menu. So node graph menu bar dot add menu called test, and then we can add an action to the test menu called my action, and we can create a function called my action click that when is run will create a pop-up question which will say you want to continue, okay, cancel, and then we can set that so that if my action is triggered it will connect to my function. We can take all of this and run that. Now we have our test menu, my action, click that question. Okay. Now things like these where you want to change the menu, add actions and things, you'd want to do that in a startup script or a UI plugin kind of thing. So we can cover that in another video, but I thought I'd just kind of show you how easy it is to access these. Now, from the node graph tab, we can also grab hold of the node graph widget. And from the node graph widget, it will allow us to run some of these functions that are part of these actions. So instead of us having to find, the edit menu, find the action that's called align and run that, what we can do is go node graph widget equal to the node graph tab dot get graph widget. Okay, and then from the node graph widget, we can do things like collapse selected to stack. So for example, I have two attribute set nodes and I want to make them into a stack. Run this. Now we have an attribute set stack. I can explode a selection. So let's say I want to load this group node, run that. What this does is take whatever inside the node and bring it up one level. So inside my group node was the group 1 node. That's moved up and now it's at the top. You can also hit a backdrop node around our selection. So merge selected nodes. All of these you can find in the menu. So just like this, you go edit and there's merge. Yeah, and just select these two nodes. Okay, we've merged them together. Now, as well as the UI app allowing us to play around with the tabs as they are, we can play around with the layout as well. So we can do UI for .app layouts. Now, layouts allows you to do things like what you can in this menu, where you can load layouts and rearrange things basically. So for example, we can activate the default and that will go back to your default layout. You can activate a specific layout given its name. You can set if to close any floating panels, close the dock widgets is true or not. You can add dock widgets, all sorts of fun things. So let's create a floating tab, for example. And let's just create a render log tab. There you go. And you can also create tabs in a frame. Now, how do you get a frame? Well, let's say, for example, we want to add it to the node graph tab here. We want to add a, say, histogram. We can take our node graph and then we can get the parent of that, and then the parent of that, and then the parent of that, and that will give us our frame. So when you get the parent, the tab, it will give you the tab with the timeline, and you get the parent of that and it'll give you the widget, and you get the parent of that and it will give you the frame. Okay, and then we can specify if it should have a title, and we'll just say that as none, and then we'll put it at position 2. And there you go, we've got our histogram created at position 2. We can also grab hold of the main window as well. So if we go UI4 main window, we can get the main window. So main window equals this. And we can use that main window to, you know, attach widgets to the main window if we have any extra widgets that we build with like PyQt or something like that. And we can also from the main window get the menu bar up here, and we can add menu options to this as well. Just as a quick example, we'll do the same kind of thing to show you how it works. The menu bar would be get menu bar and then add menu, and now we have our new menu here where you can add actions to, etc. Now another thing that it has is the keyboard shortcut manager. This is what you would see if you go to the keyboard shortcut. Is it shortcuts here? Right. This is all the list of the shortcuts that are already set. What if we wanted to add our own shortcut? How would we do that? Well, what we could do is use the keyboard shortcut manager to create an ID and then assign keyboard shortcut to one of our tabs. So let's say, for example, we like adding backdrop nodes and we do it quite a lot. We want to add a shortcut key to this to fit backdrop nodes to selected nodes. So currently, if I select all these nodes and hit B, it doesn't do anything. So let's change that. So how can we do that? Well, what we can do is pretty simple. We can say we can create an ID. So we're going to say ui4.app.keyboard shortcut manager.generate action ID. We're going to call it backdrop. This is going to generate an ID for us, and we're going to store that as backdrop ID. Okay, then we're going to find our node graph tab like we did before. I'm just going to call it NGT. And then from the NGT, there is a register keyboard shortcut, and it needs its ID and it needs the name of it. It needs the shortcut, and that's going to be B, and it's going to run a function which is called fit backdrop, and we're going to set it to none. Okay. We already know how to fit the backdrop. So the function is be very simple. So function is fit backdrop, and it will receive args, and the first argument would actually be the tab. So from there we can get the tab, and from the tab we can get the node graph widget like we did before, and then run the fit backdrop node command, and that's it. Okay, so run all of this. Okay, now if we select all of our nodes and hit B, adds our backdrop. You'll notice though, if you go here, it doesn't add it into the action. So we could, if we wanted to, go in, change the text to add a B here. So why don't we do that quickly? So what we can do is get the menu bar like we did before. And now our text is currently fit backdrop node to selected nodes. And what we want to do is take that text. If we find it, we want to add a tab and then a B to it. So what we'll do is we'll go through the children of our menu bar, and if the name of the type is a Q menu, and if the title is called edit, then we'll find all the actions that that edit menu has, and if the action text is equal to our text, then we'll actually set the text to add that B in. So let's just run that. Okay, now if we go to our edit menu, we can see we've added the B here. Okay, and again, this will be something you'd want to add in startup menu, startup script, which we can go through another video.